Well, this one was a bit of a slog, a Space Station System 11B MPU. System 11N has all this populated, A has all this populated except J15, and then B has none of this here populated. C takes away the whole sound section. This one was sent to me to repair an issue with voices. The MPU board itself was not making the voice call outs, so when you did the test, all the sounds would come through on as we have them listed in the pin wiki. I've got a reference video for that, but none of the voices would come through. But when I powered it up on the bench, I found out that the 6821 at U54 had failed, so that was just a little bonus repair done to this board while it was here. I recapped the 3 powers, the 5, 12, and minus 12, and somebody has already replaced these two 10 microfarad caps over there. Good job. And somebody replaced the 22 microfarad cap, also good job. So what I found, or how I find this, well, let me boot it up first. Here we go. So it's set to free play. You heard the characteristic bong. The lamp matrix is operational. And the only solenoid that's on is the AC select solenoid. So let me put it through its test. Here we go. Now, none of those were affected. Those all played just fine. Here's display test. Now here's where we, when we get into this next test, I'll show you where we went wrong and how I discovered the actual fault.
Condition great. Roger, Liberty. Mission accomplished. We have ignition. Condition great. Roger, Liberty. Mission accomplished. We have ignition.
So every one of those, like we have ignition, none of those voices were showing up. Now I'm on sound 0 right now, and I've got my oscilloscope, I hope you can hear that, connected to the top side of C9. Now watch as voices occur.
Condition great. Roger, Liberty. Mission accomplished. We have ignition. Condition great. Roger, Liberty.
So I'm going to move out of that. So you can see that every time a voice call out is made, the oscilloscope is picking up on the top side of C9 those analog signals. And I've got my scope grounded via the ground test point. Yes, I know this lead is longer than is prescribed, but that's just the way it goes. I don't know how anybody works with a scope that's got a 6-inch ground lead on it there. So now that I knew it was working on the top side of C9, and the top side of C9 was right here, I moved the scope to the bottom side of C9, and I was still getting signal there. So then I moved the scope to pin 1 of U4, and I was still getting signal there. So then I moved the scope to pin 7, or to pin 6 of the 1458, and I was getting no signal there. So I knew there was a problem somewhere in this resistors, capacitors, this whole network of parts. So by the process of elimination, you just move the scope along from pin 1 of U4 to this intersection of these two resistors, back to pin 6, and you see where you're losing the signal. Now, I kind of shortcutted it. I did a measurement on this cap C13, and I found that cap was shorted. It was a ceramic cap, 47 picofarads, and I found out that was shorted, and I replaced it with that cap there. Now, if that cap is shorted, what's happening to the signal? Signal's bleeding off to ground, audio ground that is. So you're never going to hear those voices that emanate from the 55516, or this is the high-speed manual. By the time Space Station came along, it was a 55536. But those signals are going to be lost to ground, and they're never going to make it through this network where the rest of the sound goes. So I've got that all working now. That was a bit of a slog. I had to sit down and scratch my head for a little bit because however I was measuring it, I wasn't detecting where that discontinuity was. So let's test the rest of the board. Lamp test is just fine. It's a single lamp test. Sometimes, well, you know how it is. You gotta just put a project down for a couple of days, let it ruminate, and then you can come back to it after the gray matter has rested, and all of a sudden the answer seems obvious. Now Space Station is going to skip solenoid 14 right there, and now it moves on to the special solenoids operating correctly, and I can drive those special solenoids with the switch inputs also, and that's operating correctly. Switch edges, all 64 switches are reported by Space Station, sorry. So that's all good, and we can just advance through the audits and adjustments. It's already set to free play. The game will reboot, and you hear the ding. So she is good to go. That was fun, something different.